The world is watching you erase. About 83 people.
Stop lunching. They said keep lunching because I am. Now, keep in mind these things, these three things, because this is operative, and it's important for them to keep you in the frame of mind, the veil of the fictional veil. Yeah. Thank you. Can you come behind me real quick?
Come on in the camera. Help.
You drive me up. Thank you. Have one more napkin, please. Make sure it's dry.
Yeah, give me.
Now, you all, if you can and are willing to discipline yourselves, and this is why we say, you know, like, you must know this, culture is in the language. Keep that in mind. Culture is in the language. And if you're in an argument, a foreclosure argument, or an alleged debt, credit debt, understand they loan you nothing. They actually use you against yourself in a linear contract to access the global world trust. So they loan you against your future labor. They give you nothing. So, for controlling people, right? That's just for starters, all right? You might scribble. That's debt. That's just for starters. and you can take the list and make it longer. This pretty much covers how they're controlling the people. When they get you to substitute these phrases for this in your conversations. And if you're talking about a state or you're talking about rights and you mix these two, you'll be declared incompetent. They won't say it directly, they just operate that way. Do you understand? So I have my rights, and in our democracy, you just lost. I have a right to my peanut butter sandwiches. I pray. Anyway, that's how it operates. So when you go to these houses, the people think they get religion, they get dogma. They go to the courts, they think they're getting jurisprudence, they get color law. Right? They think they got money, and they got fiat, private commercial paper debt. See, so when we convert the fiat, like say when we get fiat, you know, you all donate fiat, that's for transference of energy. That's more like saying, I give you my energy, but it's represented through the occupational paper of Rome. But it's not money. And you never call it money. Are we clear? So we're forced to use that until the transfer is made. Because they've converted your estate and controlled it under their fiat. Then they give you dogma to make you think you're spiritual. Then they pay the so-called revs to make you think that they're giving you religion when they know they don't give you the Kabbalistic basis of the Bible, Septuagint, Quran, and everything. And so you take it with its anthropomorphic concepts unaltered, which keeps you in a child state. And it makes you what in law incompetent. Because remember, true religion is a study of the rules and laws of nature and how nature works and how it interrelates with you, including the salts that build the body, including the working of the womb, how it operates in harmony with the moon and Venus, how it's counted to bring humanity here, how women bring back the old ancestors consciously. Do you understand how we solve earth problems? All right, that's real religion. All the other stuff is dogma. All right? Now, to keep this in mind, I'm not going to write this on here, so write this down. Anthropomorphic. A-N, let me write this down here. I see you back there, D-N. I know y'all ambidextrous. Anthropomorphic. Now we're going to explain that, and then we'll tell it. Everybody got? I hope nobody's hungry, because you know Dr. Naima always hooks us up. Plus, it supports the house. Anthropomorphic is like, you know how like you have Ma'at and you have Ma'at with wings and the moon on their head, stuff like that? That's called anthropomorphic. You know how for children, they might have Elmo that talks and has eyes and walks up like a person. That's anthropomorphic. Are we clear? Like in the Bible when it talks about Jesus, the Son of God, that's anthropomorphic. Or like in you look in the say the book of Malachi that closes out the Old Testament, where it tells you the Son of Righteousness arising with healing in his wings, and it's spelled S-U-N. That's the Kabbalistic basis of the book. Jesus is actually the Son of God in the sky. But that's for adults. But for children, the anthropomorphic story is to give them the physical body that they can relate to, but when they grow up, you put away the childish things and you go to the science. That's the difference between religion and dogma. The anthropomorphic truth is what they don't tell people. That way the revs and the imams and rabbis can keep the adults in a child state and have them buy them nice clothes and a parish and a Lexus too. And then they can go to the Bahamas with Jesus' head with verbal what? Sing to the choir. She's one of the butt sisters. That's what they do. Everybody knows. I don't know why they just play dumb. Anyway, this is so a basis, and then we can continue this list. But keep in mind this. What they want to do is, this is called connotative linguistics. Now, write this down so you can keep this in mind. Every year they have conference on semantics. Keep that in mind, every year. Years ago, they had conferences on semantics, and the decision was made to introduce into the occupied communities connotative linguistics. Are we clear? By design. This is part of the engineering that you see in King Alfred. All right? So, also those of you who have House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress that we mentioned? All right. It will be mentioned in that document that prior to 1913, all Americans held property by allodial title. Are we clear? You ask the average person in these days what an allodial title is, what you see here, right? See that? They'll look at you. Oh, that's that Moorish stuff. They made that stuff up. You know, they really. That's a right claim. A deed is shared property. So these people got feudal deeds, think they own property, they're shared property. It is foreclosed within 72 hours if you even sign them papers. They just don't come get the house right away. 72 hours is foreclosed. And when they decide to gentrify, they just come in the hood and gentrify the hood. This is my grandma's house. I had this since we came up from North Carolina. I don't care. If it ain't in trust, and if you're not your proper person, that belongs to the state. Always did. See, this is the point that I'm making to you. Take their claim of their deeds, etc., that they give you, convert them deeds into a allodial title, into a trust.
So can a
Say it again. That's me loud. Get a mic.
So if it's a family member, if my son had passed and if he has a deed, so I get a proper person and transfer
You're better. Because hereditament, that's why we read it. See, this is what you must understand. Descendable heirship is already established. That's what a cheat is called. Swipe that. If it's cheat is whereas there's no descendable heir. It's automatically state property. If you go after it, they're going to tax you out of it. You've got to be your proper person to make the claim. It already was state when he had it.
Right.
This is what must be understood. And people must not get frustrated. They must get wise. You know, don't get angry, don't get mad, get even. In other words, you're given this information to let you know what's really, this is what it is. You've been living under this. They took you away from this. This constitutes your mental slavery. So you must render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And go back to the honor of your mothers and fathers to have a claim. Lest your earth be cursed. That's what's happening with it. That's why they call it black or cursed. Because it is a nom de guerre. Not because there's something wrong with the word. If they called you truck and you agree, same thing. It makes you non-descendable. If you're out of the honor of your mothers and fathers, you have no inheritance. That's not hard to understand, but for some reason our people don't get it. You'll never see a Chinese run around talking about with the light-skinned yellow guys marching organization. They don't. You don't see Vietnamese talking about, see, because the dark-skinned brown people of the earth, of color war. Civilized people honor their mothers and fathers. The only people who do that is people here that are under the black codes that think human beings are crayons and always run around marching and praying, taking up space, and blaming the devil for everything. But they're saved though. Oh, you're saved, don't worry about that. You got all the sandwiches. Hey, don't need no program. Why we keep doing programs? We got it going on. I mean, we keep claiming that. Anyway.
Excuse me.
Mike. Grace.
So who do you see about changing the things from the deed?
Correcting, it'd be more correcting. It'd be more correcting. Correcting and thus change of status.
Okay.
So that now, the Moorish Science Temple of America was set up for that. That's what that institution is for. All right? We understand that some honor the charter and some do not. All right? We make sure when we come here into the House of Reawakening Minds that information is given to you without trying to hold you back and not trying to drag you for years and years to understand this. Because some institutions are not going to give you this information. You understand? Because it will collapse institutions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they've been living off the ignorance of the people. However, the Moorish Science Temple of America, they have them in every corporate area of the states. They are set in place to do that job. However, there are other organizations that break off from that also do it, knowing that there's been infiltration. Do you understand? All right. That's what that's about. In other words, if you're not in your proper person, you have no claim of estate. And don't think you do, because you don't. It's not personal. See, this is why we give people history and documents so you can see for yourself. See, one of the things that is damaging to us as a people is because most of us have been raised believing things, not knowing too much. And we've been leaning on our beliefs as if it means spirituality. When it doesn't and never did. And then we just keep getting destroyed, generation after generation after generation. Then the devil's the scapegoat. He took my sandwiches. I was praying real good. I turned around and I went to the door. I know the devil did it. They always do. You know, he gets blamed for everything. He, she, what, it, however. Scapegoat. For people who won't take responsibility. Because really the devil is the lower self, the higher self and the lower self, the carnal being. You know, so understand this, with the Conference on Semantics, they introduced connotative linguistics. And connotative linguistics is where they took connotative attachments, presented them falsely as meanings, and pushed the etymon lower into the scale of the dictionaries. And then what they will give you, the etymology, which you'll see in the brackets. And they'll give you the source. Just like when I showed you black, right? Now that's for someone who knows how to read. Because they'll put a timeline on it and they will go to the etymology. Where a believer will just take the connotative meaning, talk about it means Afrocentricity of the black gods of Egypt. And then write black books and talk about they're liberating the children. They do. Because they're scholars. No, they're sorcerers. Come on. Judases. There you go. And ignorant people defend them while they sacrifice their babies. That's the real truth. So anyway, with the Conference on Connotative Linguistics, they introduced the de facto operatives to separate the de jure. So few of these phrases, people are familiar with, they've heard them, but they would not give you a proper definition on them. But they're strongly familiar with this stuff. Without being familiar, that fiat, which is private commercial paper debt notes, they're not money. Every time you handle one, it's a debt note. Yes, and the reason why they can tax you, because it's not yours. It just passes through you. Because the instruments were created to convert your estate to the United States Corporation Company in France that has been used as a political platform to impersonate the legitimate United States, which was overthrown May 10th, 1861. And the whole body of information with the heirs to the estate is called the Great Masonic Secret. You. Come up here just a minute, if you don't mind. So one Mason said this, because he's getting frustrated. But it also was a signal that he's going to get killed. Because you don't tell on the Don when you've been a beneficiary. You see, I love life. Longevity has its place. But I've been to the mountain top.
Come on.
And I've seen
Yeah.
the promised land.
Go ahead.
Might not get there with you,
Right.
but we as a people
Right, sir.
make it to the promised land. That's the great seal, seal of the Moorish Empire. No one speaks under that. He just outed the Don, can't take it back. 33-degree Mason. You don't threaten the Don.
That's right.
You want to tell these slaves this is their land?
Right.
That great seal belongs to you. So Illuminati's claiming it because you tacit acquiescence denied your own estate. That's what's operating today. So now the world is doing what? Dumping their bonds. So they're printing all these bonds. They call it quantitative easing. And it's a waste of time because nobody's buying them no more. See what I'm saying? Thank you, good brother.
Amen.
Give him a hand, y'all, for helping. That's what that means in case you didn't know it. And stand up one more time. I want you to say this. Ab Antiqua, great seal of the Moorish nation. And you see when it's on the note, they separate the eye from the body.
Move over sometime. Move over this way. Go this way. Yes, we okay.
Yeah.
Go with him, Todd. You can see.
Anyway. See, it's connected. So that means 360 degrees
Got it.
when you see it. When it's disconnected, that means you're still not conscious. You understand? That's Solomon's temple incomplete when you see the eye separate. So you look at the note that you see in your pocket that you think is a dollar bill. Yeah, that's why you don't see no politician speak under it. Now, pull out a note. I'm going to show you something. Pull out a note. I want to show you something here. See this acacia bush here? There's an acacia bush right there in the sand. Now, see, the sun shines in the east and casts a shadow in the west. Swipe that. Cast a shadow in the west. If you look at the bird, you'll see Hex Alpha. Here's Hex Alpha with the bird. Right? Now, look at the bottom of that note of the Great Seal. And it says underneath the note, it says, the Great Seal. All the way down the bottom. And then under the other, it says of the United States, doesn't it? It says of, doesn't it?
Yes.
What part of speech is of?
Participle.
Preposition. What is a preposition? A substantive connector. So they're letting you know that those two seals are one. And they put one right in the middle for you because they know you can't read it.
One.
Meaning they're talking to you, anyway, they're telling you history. Now you see Hex Alpha over the Roman eagle? Huh?
What did you say about the,
Of is a preposition, third grade grammar, a substantive connector. So you take the pyramid up, and then you bring the pyramid down and place it. Bring the light down to the earth. Now you have Hex Alpha. Hold on. What do you recognize with this pyramid in the sand is violating the law of physics, because the shadow casts even underneath the pyramid. So the Son of God comes from the east, even unto the west, seeking his lost sheep. And you bring the light of all law to the earth. And the great seal becomes the seventh seal. It's just been opened. Go ahead. Keep that brother hand. Turn it upside down. The shadow becomes the seventh. That's your seventh seal.
oh yeah.
They talk to you in your face, but they know that people have eyes and can't see. It's not that it's not there. See, so that lets them off the hook. What did I tell you? Picture tells 1,000 words. But don't worry about them little pickaninnies. They will never compete because they can't read. Ain't that what they say? You can put it in their face. Do you see the politicians speaking under that great seal?
Never.
You see them speaking of the United States, which is what? Subordinate to the great seal. Claim your lost estate and put your properties, bicycle, the sneaks that you don't like anymore, in trust. Whatever is not in trust, Rome hypothecates it before you were born, as you live, and even when you pass the physical form. That's the basis of their food. Book 1 and 2, Thessalonians in Septuaginta. I told you when I was yet with you that they would sit on the throne of God, claiming to be God. How long does it take y'all to figure this stuff out?
When you
Put
put
yourself
something,
in trust.
when you put it in trust, you put your information.
See, this is what happens. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Let's keep it simple. The brands that we've adopted without a challenge is in itself tacit acquiescence. It's an abandonment of your estate. And if you will just take the time, go down any public record and look at all foreclosures, 99% of them will say abandonment.
Yeah.
And people arguing money. Abandonment. The corporate states are making adverse claims on those estates. And you notice how when people who know what's happening do it, they go lock them up? Because they ain't supposed to be doing it, because only the Romans are supposed to do it. That's why you got to do it in droves. If you be your brother's keeper, make the people conscious, and they all start claiming their estate, them bonds will crash. Because that's their food. See, if you just wear turtlenecks once in a while, vampires start losing weight. Can we talk? You know, I say go to a birthday party, we're going to a party after we leave here. Yeah, we're going to Vampy's party. Don't like the candles though, he'll get upset. Don't like the party. We have Vampy's party at West Side. You gotta match it up. He goes.
Where do you file the trust?
You don't file it. You keep it with yourself. You put them on notice. That's where we reverse it. That's why we did reverse it. Listen. See, you've got to let them know. See, because you know, like the letter that Rick did.
Yeah.
You got to understand the nature of that. This is why we did the reversion article.
It's an attitude of entitlement.
Yeah, let me,
Third one down.
hold on.
Oh, no, that's
Excuse me. Go to lesson 14. Now, this is the nature of understanding what that's all about. It's 33. Hold on.
It's out. Well, 14A. Taj, 14A is out, right?
Now, see the statement here in the reversioner? Now, this is the basis of what you would put them on notice. If you give your instruments a number.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, all right, yeah, we got roll. Yeah. Excuse me, let's go to some re-roll. Okay. I, the living man, repudiate and rebut all hypothecation claims made by foreign persons doing business as or associated with United States Incorporated. I do therefore publicly and privately proclaim and declare my divine and natural rights to my corporal and incorporeal hereditaments and affirm notice and claim reversion to my estate. Therefore, I, the living man and rightful heir, of course you put your attribute there, am not lost at sea. I affirm and declare my right of reversion of estate, and I make no claim with respect to the title and misrepresented name, man of straw, and nom de guerre being a title, and the spurious creations of the foreign de facto United States corporate operators, actors, and owners. And I surrender and assign any and all reversionary interests to the foreign United States and subsidiaries for full acquittance discharge settlement, which is their obligation, and closure of my reliance. Title 12, United States Code of Law 95A, Part 2. And I assume no liabilities or debts, however contrived, among its associates, and I do not consent to stand as surety, quote unquote, for the United States / U.S. corporation entity owners, directors, or administrators, nor for its subsidiaries or associates at any point or moment in time. That's how you notify them.
Taj.
The same way they used to put the birth record of your children in the Bible, Quran, WASPI, same way you put your title.
I think I heard you say last session here that it would be better to be nationalized where you are under, the nationalization of the Moorish temple, opposed to doing it by yourself where they can...
No, this is what... Now, hold on. This is what must be understood. The birthright can't be owned by anyone. The Moorish Science Temple is the institution that was put in place by Noble Drew Ali to see that that was done. We have the unfortunate reality that they've been infiltrated. Though many of them do the job, many of them resist doing the job. If you know the history, you can hold them to the law. This is caveat emptor that is taught in the temples, all right? But if they know, many of them, if they know you don't know this information, they will play you. Do you understand? Now, I'm just telling you the truth because the truth. I'm not going to lie to you and send you, because, as a rule, we always send people to the temple. But many people have come back and cussed us out because they ran to the temple and they were treated like aliens because they were mad because they had knowledge, because they can't play you. See, you come to the House of Reawakening Minds, you get woke up.
That's right.
If you hang around a little while, you'll be a scholar in short order. For real. And so when you go to people who are supposed to be doing these things, and they discover half you, even if you're not clear, know more than they know, then their ego gets in front.
Yeah.
And they start blocking you. Wow. Now, for those who don't understand, look up FBI FBI infiltration into the Moorish Science Temple of America, FBI files, and that'll, even with the redaction, that will tell you what I can't tell you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Why do you think that we're here in this venue? Most venues don't want this information out because most people are being used, not only by Europeans, but by their so-called black leader guys. So they're angry at Taj guys like me. They don't like me. And I understand it, but you know, that's on them. Their mother sent them to do what they do. My mother sent me to do what I do.
All right.
You know, it's what it is. Tough cookies. You know, it's what it is. You know, but the deal is, if you know the history and the facts, you'll know who's who. It doesn't matter. You know, that's why I always tell people, don't listen to me. Go prove me wrong. Because as soon as you start putting this information out, they automatically have COINTELPRO operations is already there. They'll already have their men trolling out. I mean, if I tell you about if I just told you about the difference between the United States is right there, they'll automatically have a black leader guy out attacking me. It automatically. I don't engage them because I already know they're COINTELPRO operatives. You understand? I always tell people, do some research and see for yourself. But the deal for this, they're getting paid. And see, so when you wake up, their little cookie jar gets empty too. You know, overseers ain't into sardines too good. You know, we can work them sardines and crackers and stuff in those noodles and noodles. Especially the good ones, they really hors d'oeuvre. When Europeans can't do filet mignon, they start having mental problems. They start drowning the goldfish in their own water and stuff. Why did we have the goldfish? He was in the pool. They do strange stuff. Anyway, thank you all for coming out to House of Reawakening Minds. Dr. Malin, can you go share stuff with us for a minute? Because you know you got new stuff. I know you got new stuff. Because you got it like that.
I'm trying to record stuff. I don't have anything else. I don't have anything else.
Oh, anyway.
I just tell them to just try
For those of you who are listening, thank you for listening.
I'll come up.
Take notes. Come on up. Do the moonwalk while you do it, girl.
Yeah, go ahead, girlfriend.
Anyway, you know that Dr. Naila has been struggling to keep his house open. So for anyone still wasting your fiat on cigarettes, cancer and stuff like that, send her a little fiat until we make the transfer, keep the house open. And she makes a lot of things possible for us. And I'm appreciating her. Because she sacrificed, actually, what a lot of them don't do. She sacrificed, because she's well-known pastor, you know, TV and all that stuff. But she decided to take the truth and deal with the truth. And you know, when you deal with the truth, they don't give you the coins no more. You know, so she's been struggling keeping the house open. Let's be real about it, you know. So until we can make the transfer of estate, make sure that y'all do a little bit of help. Give them the number.
Well, we have a cash me site that's set up. If you want to contribute at any time, it's http:// and it's the word cash.me and the slash again, a dollar sign, a fiat sign, and the word reawaken, REAWAKEN, and it takes you, it goes right into our business account. My name will come up because my name's on the credit card, but it actually goes into a business account. And we didn't take, you know, the last time.
You mentioned the last time, how much
within an hour. The time before, not the last time, because my video messed up, but the time before that when Grand Sheik was here, within less than 24 hours, there was over 9,000 views. You know, we do Facebook Live, and there was over 9,000 views in less than 24 hours of what was going on here. And I want to say thank you to everybody on Facebook Live.
Facebook, what's that?
Well, we're actually, it's on my personal Facebook, Naila Gilliam. But I want to thank everybody out there, all my Facebook friends and family who have been sharing these videos, because it comes up and I can see they're sharing it, they're sending it to their friends and so forth. And so we've had upwards of maybe about 150 plus people watching at any one time. But in the space of less than 24 hours, we had over 9,000 views. And I just want to say to you who come here, you donate at the door. Some of y'all didn't donate today, so I'm just going to lay it out there. So when you go on your way out, because I counted, please put it in there. We're on the honor system, but don't make me sit there with the can. And don't make me sit there with the can and say, and take it. I'm putting you on the honor system. So when you go, maybe pretend you just putting something extra in there because you didn't do it when you came in. But what I want to say, and I say that in love, but what I want to say is that those of you who are watching by Facebook Live, I know we have one brother that's watching all the way from Afghanistan. So those of you who are watching, I've been posting every now and then. I've given you the website so that you can support. I don't even care if you send one note. It can be just a note, just one. If you send that note, and for those of you who don't know what a note is, $1. If you just want to send $1, we're still good. It'll help us. You know what I mean? Because you're watching all over. And somebody wrote down there, I don't know if it was Brother Brian Theory L or somebody said, this is invaluable. You all can't get here. Some people have flown on planes. Yeah. I remember Jennifer Hudson's cousin came all the way from Mecca to come here to see him. You get a chance to get it, up close and personal. And when you give me questions, when I see him, I ask you. Brother Taj, he answers those questions, right off the bat. So you are getting something invaluable. You're getting information that you can take and you can transform your life. So if it has any value to you and you would like me to continue to do Facebook Live, I'd like to see something coming into that account from folk who say, yeah, we think this is a good thing. Because Brother Taj is right. I took a big leap. Yes. This was a church. I was the apostle. I had a salary, and a job. I have neither now. Retired. Job left 3 weeks ago. And I don't, I'm not this. I haven't been this for over 6 years. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying if there's something that we are benefiting from, why can't we support it? And everybody can all the time, but when you can, and we don't even have to be on the air, and I'm still talking to the Facebook folks, we don't have to be on the air when you do this. Anytime. If you have something extra, you think about House of Reawakening Minds and what it stands for, then just support us. I'm not looking for funds for Dr. G. I'm good. But we want to keep this going. Yes. We want to make sure that this house is going. And, we're being so I know this word means something else, but I'm going to say bless, okay? Because the universe is actually favoring us, let me say that, with a lot of things that we need. And I just want to bring somebody up, and she didn't know I was going to do this, but I want to, come on girl, come on child. I want to bring, every now and then I have daughters and sons all over, seriously, that come to me from all over the world in different places. And this particular daughter was seeking me out. She's awesome. She's an awesome young lady. And I'm saying this because she is I don't know, she does a lot of things. But she's a tarot card reader. She is, among other things, she's an astrologer. And she's a medium.
And that's really
and all of
religion.
All of this.
Religion. Well, let's say this too. Ezekiel's wheel. The wise men follow the stars. The proper use of the moon and the salts of the moon and the movement of the moon, which is closest to us. This is why the crescent and the star is used for when the star is in the east, for planting. Likewise, understand your body. You would go to a Sayaraha, like her, and she would do the chart. Like if we were going somewhere, we're planning to do something, I would go to her and say, give me a progressive chart or one for the day. She would deal with what is called whether any of the planets are in retrograde, like Mercury or something like that. And she would say, Taj, we'll pick this day, because according to your chart, this is the best day for you to do this thing or that thing. Governments run like this. They won't tell you because they've been using and abusing you. Are we clear? So, keep up the good work, sister. Sayaraha.
This is Sister Cherie Barber, and I want you all, seriously, I want you all to remember her, and I want you to look her up. She can even do your reading, long distance. She can actually, even if you contact her. So if you want to get in contact with her, especially those of you who are watching from Facebook, just hit me up. And message me, and then I'll make sure that you're in touch with her. I'm not going to put her phone number and stuff out there, but just message me and I'll get you in contact with her. I know Brother Maurice, who was the example for the pyramid. He knows, and I know of her. She's awesome. When I say she's awesome, I say it. I've had a lot of people with my. I have a radio show, and I deal with people who are, numerologists and
the old rules
astrologists.
When you get old rules in the Yucatan temples and in the Grand Canyon before sank, and also in Hikupta, which we call Egypt, all ancient cultures, they say, man, know thyself. Because the geometry and the math will tell you what your ego will not. And that's how you know yourself. You go to church. Now,
what is church?
Church is the great circle of the zodiac. That's the German word for it. Most people have been to buildings, never been to church. That's the truth. So when you see the tau cross, which is a measuring tool, with a circle around it, that's your zodiac circle. That's Church. That's German for the great circle. But the priesthood never takes people to church.
They never teach us what
exactly.
And as a matter of fact, they do everything to tell, to negate it and give it
because that's the source of their power.
Negative connotations, and so, you want somebody who knows what's happening so they can tell you.
This is what she would do, basically. She would look at the Stargate, which is your mother. She would chart her movements. She would chart the day of her birth from her mother, the constellation that generally rules her, her moon, which would express her real self, and her ascendant. And then she would do a calculation. And if you really knew that, women wouldn't need drugs or anything. All they need to do is count. Mother Nature. And she would instruct you. Also, if we're in matrimony, right? Say you see my daughter, and you just checking her out. Oh, that's tight. And so we go see Sayaraha, right? And she'd look at the family, look at her general character, but she would look at the charts of both of them. And if two of those planets minimally don't match, it's not a good idea. That's the value. It would save us a lot of trouble. Also, when you plan to bring new beings here, go see Sayaraha, because she'll advise you by divine law when to use that womb and when not to, so you don't have crossed spirits. Yes. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your honor.
Honestly, I learned a lot from you. I started watching videos back in 2006, I believe. I originally was following Sister Zodiac. And
oh, we had an unfinished book. I was writing with her. Yes, go ahead.
I learned a lot from her and other sisters that you had on YouTube. And then I took my knowledge a step further and started studying other others. And I mean, your work is amazing. Everything I know, in which I know there's way more that I need to know. I did learn from YouTube from you guys.
I hope you do some good. Because this is the other deal. This is the other deal. When women get this, because we're sons, right? And we're projective, because you made us that way. We build, but you have to understand you have to run things. Do you understand? Really, without that competition that we learned from the black codes. Do you understand? See, so we do this kind of stuff, but we're missing a leg. It's Y chromosome X. I don't understand what that really means. So being sons, you know, we're really protruding a little bit, but we're slow to some degree. You know. No, listen, it's true. It's true. It's true. You know, like, and we, you know, when you understand nature and you get over your ego and you put reality in front of fiction and stop following after the idol god worships of Rome. Because that's how Rome, keep in mind, how does the bishopric operate? How do they rule? They rule by suppressing the Stargate, which is woman. Do you understand? And then when women actually believe through the dogma that they're below her own sons, you understand? The Stargate gets contaminated. And then when things need to be fixed, she's looking for someone else to do it, and the Stargate is the key. That's what the Ankh actually represents. The uterus, fallopian tubes, and the birth canal. The Holy Cross. That's the real cross. Sis Sayara. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Facebook fam. We'll be back in the first Friday in February. Brother Taj?
Yes.
First Friday in February, we'll be back. But don't forget to support us in the meantime.
For controlling people, right? That's just for starters, all right? Excuse my scribble. That's that. That's just for starters. and you can take the list and make it longer. This pretty much covers how they're controlling the people. When they get you to substitute these phrases for this in your conversations. And if you're talking about a state or you're talking about rights and you mix these two, you'll be declared incompetent. They won't say it directly, they just... Have one more napkin, please. Make sure it's dry.
Yeah, give it.
Now, you all, if you can and are willing to discipline yourselves, and this is why we say, like, you must know this. Culture is in the language. Keep that in mind. Culture is in the language. And if you're in an argument, a foreclosure argument, or an alleged debt, credit debt, understand they loan you nothing. They actually use you against yourself in a linear contract to access the global world trust. So they loan you against your future labor. They give you nothing. So,
The world is watching you erase. About 83 people.
stop lunching. They said keep lunching because I am. Now, keep in mind these things, these three things, because this is operative, and it's important for them to keep you in the frame of mind, the veil of the fictional veil. Yeah. Thank you. Can you come behind me real quick?
Come on in the camera.
Let's pray.
Help.
You drive me up.